Ivy, are you good?
Yes, I'm good. I'm good. Great. So, welcome everybody to this impactful session. I'm so privileged to be here. It's a really super packed panel of speakers, all very well versed in their subject matter expertise, and just highlighting some of the key messages that. I'm Auntie's niece, by the way, but I'm going to call you Ivy for the purpose of this event, if you don't mind. So when Ivy sent me this special invitation asking me to co-host today, the one thing that she said that really made an impact to me was that it was an event to remind everybody of where we are going for 2022. So we've gone through the month of January, and so we want to maintain that momentum. So it's about reminding ourselves of the key objectives of the year, linking in with professionals who can tell us all about what we need to do to keep inspired, how to find that fulfillment, how to find our drive, and all of the self-care and mental health messages that we need to be aware of as we go into the year. So without much ado, I'm just going to run through some of so who is speaking today, all of their what they know, who they are, what their expertise is. So we've got Clara Rufai here, and then she's also known as a shy strategist. She's a corporate lawyer, she's a compliance manager, an author, a public speaker, a book consultant, a story speaker, a coach. Listen, the list is endless. And so in her role as the Shy strategist, she has a magazine and she's a founder of the Shy Zone. It's a social enterprise group where she specializes in leadership, product and personal development, empowerment, on all of that good stuff. She also hosts a podcast. I mean, listen, she's such an amazing lady. I'm really looking forward to listening to her. So please share that podcast link before the end of today. I'm really desperate to listen in. We've got Krista Jojaye here today as well. She's a professional organizer. I actually didn't know that they could be certified. So she's a certified professional organizer and one of Africa's leading productivity experts. She's an author, she's a podcaster, and she's also a life strategist. She teaches and empowers people with practical tools on how to live fuller lives. So she's also another powerful person to wait out to listen to. She, one last thing, so I didn't quite get what the acronym was for, but she spoke in an event in London in 2019 called Web London, and she was a recipient of an award there. Amazing. We've got Nika Akerele today, Nika Akerele De Sosa. She's an executive HR capitalist. She's got 30 years of experience in consulting, NGO sector in the US, Nigeria, and Ghana. Listen, what an amazing profile. She went on to become the founder of People Prime and People Temp, where she was involved in hosting various career and skill development initiatives with her clients. So amazing. She's also a master's degree holder in educational planning, economics, international development at UCL. We've also got Tonya Ogan today. She is a psychiatrist for many years and has worked in the United Kingdom and in Nigeria. She's worked in various capacities. Sorry, I've got my daughter here today, so please bear with me. So going back to Dr. Tonya, who also shares my name, what a privilege. So like I was saying, she's a psychiatrist for many years. She's worked in various capacities in the NHS, including general psychiatry, old psychiatry, crisis team, and a host of other teams. She's worked with the NHS. So she's really versed in her expertise in that field, and she's going to also speak to us today. And then last but not the least, we have got Dr. Abiye Hector Goma. He's the lead practitioner at Ellington and Westfield Medical Centres in the UK. He is involved in the provision of primary health care. So again, and also his special interest are cardiovascular risk management and lifestyle intervention and a host of other areas of specialty. So really, really powerful panel today. So now we've run through who our panelists are going to be. I just want to introduce the first speaker, and we're going to follow a theme today. So it's going to be a storyline. So really the first place, obviously to start the year, is to find that fulfillment. What do you inspire to be in 2022, and how are you going to get there? The first place to do is to obviously to define what those are. So to speak on that subject matter would be Nika Akerele De Sosa.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me okay, IB?
Yes, I can.
Fantastic. And thank you for the introductions, and a big welcome to everyone, and including my panelists who I've just gotten to know as well. So I'm really excited about this network. Welcome everybody. Good evening from the UK, and really excited to be here to just have a quick chat. There's a lot to cover, so I'm just going to glance through a couple of things. IB has only given me about, I don't know, 8 to 10 minutes to just gist. So 8 minutes, okay, no formal present.
15.
Okay, so I'm just going to cover a couple of things, and I'm hoping that when we have our conversations along the way, then I can cover other stuff as well. So nothing too formal this evening. So yeah, so my topic is really finding fulfillment in mid-career transitions. So I'm in that place at the moment. So I'm hoping that sharing my own experiences will also encourage you as well. So when we are talking about transitions, I mean, we're talking about a new year, 2022. You know how all of us kind of have New Year's resolutions? We want to do this, we want to do that, and all that. But you know what happens with our New Year's resolutions? There's a research that says by the 20-something of January, 80% of the resolutions are gone. Nobody's really following them. So I think that, you know, it's all about preparation. And so let's talk a little bit about transitions. So for me, transitions, and I'll explain what I mean by transitions. So transitions in life, particularly, especially in our careers, can be a very, very positive thing. People see transitions and like, oh my God, that's scary. Why are you transitioning? What's happening? But transitions can be very positive. They allow us to grow, but it needs to be planned for. And those transitions in our lives, particularly our careers, need to be well managed as we're taking those decisions. I can assure you that transitions are definitely coming. The same way the seasons of life are changing, transitions will come because the seasons in our lives are changing. We're at different age groups, and so transitions will happen. So we need to be prepared for the transitions, particularly in our careers. And when we say mid-career, I'm really talking about individuals that perhaps may have had about 15 years experience or more, or in my case, I've had 30 years experience and have a lot of colleagues and friends who now are probably, revealing my age, 50 plus and over, and really going through serious major transitions in terms of their lives and consequently their careers. So examples of transitions, for example, you might be moving from having worked as an employee for a company for many years, like I did for a consulting firm for about 15 years. And then I moved into running my own business. That for me was my first major transition. You know, it's different when you are working for an employer. When you get your paycheck every month and you go to work, you know where you're going, you know. But when you now wake up one day, 15 years later, or how many years later, you then decide, well, you know, I have this idea, this burning idea. I want to become an entrepreneur and own my own business. I want to find fulfillment in doing something different, something I have always wanted to do. That is an example of a transition, or vice versa, the other way. Another transition is there are many people that have not worked for years, particularly some women that chose to stay home and nurture the family and the children, and decide years later, when the kids are grown, that they now want to go back and do what they've always wanted to do. So that's a major transition in that person's life. And that happens to a lot of women. I certainly have a lot of friends who are going through that transition. There's also the transition of early retirement. You know, what happens to us when in our 50s or 60s, we decide that we're no longer working? What happens next? These are all major transitions. In my case, another example is pivoting your career. So for example, I was someone that worked in the finance accounting field for about 15 years. That was my first major transition when I then decided to be an entrepreneur. And then I completely left that field and I went into human resources, a field that I had not worked in before, and spent another 15 years in that career. and you could be going into another industry. So for example, now my third transition has been a recent pivot into the international development field, which is where I'm working now. So very much in the social impacts phase. So it's not really HR anymore, it's completely different. So I've had to step back and pivot again. So that again is a transition. So transitions can be tough, and they come with uncertainties. They come with fear, come with anxieties. And I'm hoping that Dr. Organ will sort of talk a little bit around this maybe later when she talks about what happens to us when we're going through these transitions. And transitions always force us to come out of our comfort zones, because you're not going to do what you were doing before. But because you're looking for something different, you cannot continue to imagine that it's going to feel the same way. So it's going to stretch you and it's going to pull you beyond what you're already doing. So the first question I guess we need to ask is, having given that context, is when is it best to take these decisions to transition? At what stage? When do we do this? I need to say that there's never a good time to take a transition. There's no exact time. Everybody's transition period for whatever decisions they're making in their own seasons of life is unique to you. So don't try not to let other people force you. When you hear a lot of people say, oh, you've been working for 15 years, why don't you start your own business? No, maybe you're not ready. Maybe that's not your timing. So your own transition has to be thought through and prepared. And I'll say one or two things about that. But I always feel that our transitions are prompted initially by a sense of dissatisfaction. There's an inner feeling that you have that you're no longer happy doing what it is that you're doing. You're no longer excited about going to work. You're no longer excited about, maybe that work you were doing, or what business you were doing, or the state that you're in with your life. So that is really where you then need to start questioning yourself. What else am I good at? What else do I want to do? What is this dream that I've always wanted to have? What are these passions that I have that now, mid-career, much later in my career, isn't it time for me to branch out and do what it is that really, really fulfills me? You know how it is when we start our careers. We start in the beginning, we get a job, we need a paycheck, and we keep doing that. But when you're mid-career, you need to start asking yourself, what is it that really makes me happy? How do I get up every day and be completely fulfilled? Because, when you are halfway through your career, you can no longer keep doing what you do every day and not get that sense of fulfillment. So there's a lot of self-reflection that needs to happen. A lot of being self-aware, asking yourself key questions. Where are you now? What do you want to be doing? What keeps you up at night? What inspires you? Then you obviously, I think the next question would be, what then do you need to do to prepare for these transitions? Because I said earlier, we need to prepare for transitions. You need to strategize, I think, a lot on yourself. What do I need to do next? Do a lot of research and find out what those things are that you really want to do. It's going to take a lot of sitting down and doing a lot of self-reflection and research into what that next step is going to be. Begin to reach out to your network, your friends, your network of professionals, clients, customers, and start to talk to people about your ideas and what's happening to you. Obviously, perhaps a coach, perhaps a professional colleague, or somebody that at least can add value. Sit down and start rubbing minds, and things can get a little bit clearer. I have to say to you that once things start getting a bit clearer as to where you want to go, I have to recommend that you will highly need to reskill and upskill. You're going to need to spend a lot of time training, developing yourself, attending webinars. Thank God a lot of them are online and they are free. So a lot of upskilling, because you cannot go into an industry that you have no idea about or a different direction without upskilling yourself. Please join committees, volunteer for things, build up your skills in that area, test that area before you take that transition. And before I wrap up, because I know that there's so many other people that need to talk, what would I say? Pivot and transition with purpose. Know what it is that you're getting into. Make sure that you see that that next path is going to give you that fulfillment that you're looking for, and whatever that pivot is. And pivot at your own time, not when you're told by anyone else, but when you are ready and when you have made that decision. Because you are the only one that knows whether or not you have the right mindset, the right resources, the right contacts. You've done enough research to know what it is that you need to do. And my final word, it is never, ever too late. Here I am 30 plus years later, taking a decision to pivot into a transition into a completely new industry, a different field, and it's never too late. So those are my last words, but I hope that we can chat a little bit more along the way. So back to you, Ivy.
Okay, which of the Ivies now, because there was two of us. Nike, this is absolutely fantastic. I just quickly wanted to jump in now for the sake of those who are just joining us to say that I want to say a big thank you for joining me, or for joining us rather. And I think that you've made the right decision and the right step. Quickly, I just want to say that this program is in two parts. The first part is that you're going to hear our speakers speak on various subject matters, and Nike has just spoken about finding fulfillment in transitions. And after they've all spoken, then we're going to have the breakout rooms. We have breakout rooms where you have then the opportunity to ask questions and to interact with the speaker in a more intimate level. And so I hope that by listening to them, that you would be able to extrapolate from them the skill sets, the intelligence, the wisdom there is to make a conscious decision and to transition with purpose, according to what Mika has said. So Ivy, I hand you over. Thank you.
Great. I actually, I had a quick question before we went on to the next one, please. So Nika, if you don't mind, I want to ask you, how do you, when you come to the point where you realize that you need to re-strategize for your career, what plans do you actually take in place to make the next step? How do you understand what direction exactly to take? Because, you know, the world is changing so fast. There's all sorts of different technologies and the marketplace is shifting. So I would like to know what the first step is.
Thanks, Ivy. I think going back to what I said earlier is that you know how companies do strategy sessions and they kind of reflect on the different options and scenarios and what the plans are going to. One, you need to do some sort of self-strategy session.
Yeah.
You know, when I was making the transitions that I was making, I literally turned around my consulting skills on myself and sat in a room with paper on the walls, what I want to be doing next and what I do not want to be doing next. I was very clear as to what it was that I did not want to do again. And I listed all of those things. And then I looked at the things. We have to get very practical when we're doing our planning. I then looked at the things that I was open to doing next. Areas where in my career or in your career, you're thinking, I'm really interested in that field. I'm really interested in that role. I'm really interested in starting that business. List those things and then start to take them one at a time. You have to spend time researching and then ask yourself, why do I want to pivot into that area? What do I need to do to pivot in that area? What resources and what time and when can I do this pivot? So by the time I was done with that, all my paper on the wall, I ended up crossing out so many options because I'd done so much research on, and then I was able to narrow down maybe the last one or two, which I then did more work on. I started talking to people a lot more. I started getting involved in that field before I made a decision to pivot into that field. So you cannot just transition like that. Because, for example, what's happening, IB, with many people are just moving because that's the latest thing, you know, that's happening. That's where the money is. That's where they, you know, so they're just moving. But there needs to be a lot of advanced preparation for this. Every field is not for everyone and every opportunity is not for everyone.
Right. Thank you for that. And I'll also, I guess, hopefully I'll be in your breakout room so that I can explore more of more of that conversation. Thank you very much. And I think that really leads us very well into the next speaker, who will talk about um, actually organizing yourself into finding your way into where you want to go. So it's never too late to make your next steps. And with that, I'll introduce Krista Durojaye to speak on next. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivy, and welcome again, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. So let me just jump right in since we have just very little time. I can already sense that Ivy has a secret wall clock that she's looking at, and anytime from now, like she's just going to shut me out. So let me jump right in. It is never too late. And Nike already said it. So let me just re-echo it. And I'm hoping that every other speaker will continue to re-echo it so that it sinks in. Why I'm saying that is because you know how life is. When someone tells you, oh my God, you're so good at this, self-doubt comes in very easily and you accept that you're not good at it. But when they tell you something horrible about yourself, you're quick to believe it and just take it out. Oh my God, they said I am really horrible. They said what I said was not very in line and so on. So if we can today just continue to hammer on this and let everybody know that, look, it is never, ever too late to achieve their dreams. Perhaps by the time we're done today, this positive drive will sink in and it will kick out any other negative vibes that is telling us otherwise. Now, why is it never too late? Why are we so confident that it is never too late to achieve our dreams? One, and I'm going to I'm going to talk about a list of 6 things I usually like to call the critical 6. And for me, I see them as the prepping stage towards working on achieving your dreams. Now, number 1 on the critical 6 is when you wake up is your morning. It's like an African proverb where they say when you wake up is your morning. It means any time at all that the realization just sets in, or you just feel like, look, I need to do something. I need to move. I need to begin to work on actualizing my dreams. Once you wake up, it is your morning. And it means that you can very well go about doing whatever you want to do. So there's no right time, there's no wrong time. Anytime at all that you decide that you want to embark on achieving your dreams is a good enough time. Now, number 2, how badly do you want it? Is the next point that drives any dream that you desire to achieve. How badly you want it will determine how far you are ready and willing to go. Number 3, step out and do an assessment. You said you've woken up, you've said you really do want to make it happen. Now you need to step out. It's almost like when you buy a new farmland, you need to step out of your comfort zone, step out of your house into the farmland and stand from a vantage, viewpoint and look at the whole landscape. So, and I remember that Nike also mentioned it. You need to do an assessment. You need to do a review. You need to do some self-assessment of some sort. So you step out and you do an assessment. Number 4, an assessment, you're looking around and you're wondering to yourself, usually when you see a plot of land that has been lying fallow, nothing's being done, or even when you were doing something and you just left it briefly, you will notice that there's a lot of weed, there are a lot of stumps, there's the clear ground, there's the part that has some grass. You will see all sorts. It's usually a mix and match of any and everything that you can imagine. But you need to start to check, what do I need to uproot from this landscape of my life that I am viewing right now? What do I need to take out? What are the things that are no longer relevant that needs to be uprooted and taken out of the way so that what needs to stay can stay? Number 5, you have to think again. What do I need to root in? There may be some things that are already going well and they are good. Yes, you may have left them at some point, but you're ready to go back to, tilling your field, but some things are still in good shape and you need them for the journey ahead. Those ones you need to reroot. You need to reinforce their roots and add more soil, add nutrients so that they can be firmly rooted in the ground. And then number 6, what do I need to plant? You have uprooted, you have rerouted some things that need to stay. What are the new things that you need to put in place? And like Nike said, you need to sit back and begin to evaluate what can fit into my landscape that I need to start putting in place. So when you have put your critical 6 in motion, you have sat down and reviewed all of this, the next step usually would be to actually start doing the work. Nike talked about you need to train, you need to do some growing and grooming of yourself. Now, these critical 6, they usually serve as your foundational or support pillars that help to keep the structure in place before you start all of the buildings. So once you have put this 6 in place, it's time to go out and set goals. It's time to go out and write down what exactly you intend to achieve. And from experience, a lot of people I've worked with always argue with that point. Do I necessarily have to write any goals? Do I necessarily have to put it down? I know what I want to do. Can I just do it? And I always say to them, no. What you write down, you tend to remember more often. And again, when you write it down, when life happens, when challenges come at you, it's very easy to forget what you don't write down. You get really mixed up with things and you can't quite figure out what it was that you were doing, where you stopped. But when you write it down, you are able to go back to your drawing board and check and tick and say, oh my God, this is where I stopped. This is where I need to pick it up from. So writing down is very critical and very important. It's a must-have. Maybe that's why Habakkuk 2:2 says, write down the vision, make it clear so that he who reads may run. You're writing it now. After a while, unclarity, life happens, challenges come. But when you get back on track, when you come back to that eureka moment, you want to be able to go back to what you wrote down, you want to be able to read it, and you want to be able to run with it. Now, usually after you've sorted out your critical 6, a myriad of questions just begin to come at you. Number 1, you just start to wonder, So I have the fields where I need to plant or sow. What exactly am I sowing? I have no clue where to start. Like Nike, I have to keep referring because she really hit on a lot of powerful points for me. Like Nike said, so after you've gone through some various crises or transition processes in your life, sometimes you forget who you are, you lose a sense of what you're supposed to be doing. And so you begin to wonder, yes, critical 6, after that, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing. I haven't even discovered my purpose. Everything just kind of becomes unclear. And you say, I don't even know what to do. I'm not really good at a lot of things. But here's what I want to tell you. Every single one of us has something that they know how to do. So let's establish that fact first. Then the next question that comes, or one of the other questions is, what if I do these things and people don't even believe that I am really good at it? Self-doubt begins to set in. And that imposter syndrome that a lot of us agree that we have experienced every now and again, it just begins to set in and you start to doubt yourself. You start to feel inadequate about the things that you are really excellent at. And what do I have to say to you about this? Do it anyway and anyhow. Just do it. Get doing until it begins to make sense. At the beginning of a vision or a goal or a dream, sometimes it doesn't always make sense. But as the same way when you sow a seed, if you have different types of seeds, sometimes some seeds look alike. I think the ewedu and green the green leaf, their seeds look so alike. Don't mind me, I'm a gardener. I love gardening. Their seeds look alike. And at that point, you will not be able to differentiate or tell where you're going or where you're coming from. But after you have planted and you allow for it to grow, it now becomes clear which one is a wedu, which one is green leaf, you know. So I just want to encourage us, do it anyhow, do it anyway, and allow the thing to begin to grow. And when it grows, as it grows, it makes more sense, it becomes clearer. So instead of expending energy, worrying ourselves sick with all these concerns, let's just simplify and break things down a bit. Every human being here on earth has one major goal. That is to die empty, to use the skills, the talents that you have and empty them out by sowing them into lives, by using them like the parable of the talent. It's not for you to bury them and sit, it's for you to begin to use them, to work on them, and you must use them or else they go to waste. So in thinking of that, no talent, no gift is too small. So anything your hands find to do, take hold of it and begin to work on it. I'm seeing you shaking. I sense that my time is almost up. No talent or gift is too small. Now, instead, like Moses did in, I think, Exodus 4:2, what is it that you have in your hand? When you get to that point where you don't even know where to start, just check, what do you have in your hand? Cast it down on the ground and begin to work. Now, when that is done and you just figure out, oh, I'm just good at cooking, focus on your cooking and make the best out of it. Open the best restaurant you can think about. When you figure out and you say, I'm good at understanding how to ensure that garments are clean. Ordinarily, if you choose to look at all of our dreams and talents with ordinary eyes, you're going to belittle gold and you would think it's a stone. But when you look at something that seems minor, like even understanding how some people are just very passionate about clean clothes, people like that can turn around and open a big, a world-class laundry or laundromat service. So no dream, no vision is too small. Now, step one, now that you feel that you are ready to start going, is to write down every goal, whether big or small. But in writing them, make sure they are smart, that they're specific, they're measurable, they're achievable, they're realistic, and they are time bound. Now, step two, assign a targeted timeline for completion of each goal. Step three, I'm trying not to go into the nitty-gritty of it all. I just want to brush through really fast. Break your goals up into bite-sized tasks that are easy to manage. Step four, put these bite-sized tasks into a schedule that becomes part of your daily routine. Step five, set alarms to serve as reminders for when to start and stop a particular task. Now, measure all the time as you progress with your goals and your visions and your dreams. Measure by setting aside a time, maybe weekly, monthly, set aside a time where you go back and review and see how far you've gone, how you've come. Then another helpful tip for measuring and ensuring progress is to be accountable. Find somebody that you can hold you accountable, that pushes you to continue to do what it is that you've set out to do. To round up, here are some quick life lessons that have really helped me. Number one, remember the old saying, Rome was not built in a day. So achieving a goal or building a dream takes time, and it's best to allow for due process so that your dreams can grow, mature, and bear fruit. Now, when we cut corners or rush the process, we end up with half-baked results that can barely stand through the test of time. So don't be in a hurry. Allow for time for your dreams to grow. Then follow the due process and make sure that it shows the trajectory of how you progress, so that every point in time you can go back and check where you left off and retrace your steps. Now, competing and comparing yourself. or your progress with somebody else's progress or somebody else's journey is very unhealthy. It puts you under immense pressure, and I'm sure that Dr. Toyin Ogan will talk about it, how pressure can maybe lead to depression and all of that. It puts you under unnecessary pressure, and at best, when you are done with all this struggle and pressure, you end up becoming a replica of somebody else instead of the best version of the original you that God created. Now, celebrate. Remember to celebrate every baby step that you take. At the end, it's still a process that is leading you to achieving your grand goal. Finally, rest. We can never underestimate or overestimate the value that rest brings. We need to be rested to be able to achieve any and every one of our goals. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is never, ever too late to start embarking on the journey of achieving your dreams. You can start now, you can start today, you can start anyhow, just allow for time, let it grow, and it will all make sense. Thank you, and over to you, Ivy.
Thank you so much. That was so powerful. I took away the critical six. I also took away some of your lifelong lessons. And I think for me, and I think Clara also said it as well, one of the most powerful things that you said there was dying empty, and you pretty much gave us the guidelines as to how to die empty. So thank you very much for that. I mean, everyone, please keep your questions ready, and you can also ask more questions during the breakout session. And again, you know, as everything is interlinked, the next segment of the discussion will be going straight into how to find your shine. So finding your shine, Clara, Rufai, after we have established that it's never too late for us to start today, we want to be able to find out how we can find our shine and come out bright regardless of when we start. Over to you.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. Nike and Krista, you guys have set the bar high. But I want to start by saying thank you to Ibinabo Enevi and her IB Speaks team. You guys are amazing. Thank you for putting this conversation together. We really need to be having conversations like this because sometimes you need that reminder. You need that reminder to keep you on track. You need that reminder to motivate, to inspire, to provoke, to challenge. So it's really, really amazing when we have these, shall I say, avenues to encourage one another, you know, to inspire one another. So I'm going to go straight into my presentation, and I'm basically here to encourage you, to motivate, to inspire, right? I have several titles that people know me by, but the titles that mean the most to me in this whole wide world are titles such as inspirer, enabler, encourager, and value adder. And I'm hoping that tonight I'll be able to do all of those things or be all of those things to you. And my simple presentation just says that you've got to shine. Find it. Like, I'm not even taking no for an answer, just as God, your father, your creator will not take no for an answer. He absolutely created every single one of us and put value, put something precious inside of us, right? So it's how to connect with that thing that is so precious inside of us and how that we can activate it and, leverage all the relationships we can leverage to shine as brilliantly as we can so that even God is proud of us and the world is a brighter place because we passed through it. So I'm basically going to start by saying this. Right. A lot of times, the world of social media and just life in general has taught us life has taught us to only put forward, what is brilliant, what is beautiful, what looks perfect. You go on social media and, everybody's husband or spouse is the most beautiful. Everyone's car is the best. Everyone has a perfect smile. All the faces are well made up and everything. There is this unspoken competition because everyone is trying to project a certain persona or a certain thing on social media. But the truth is that I encourage people, when I do my coaching and my mentoring, I encourage people to to own up to their scars, to own up to every single one of their shared experiences. And as I go on, you'll understand how that has helped me as a person to come into my own, to own my brilliance, and to be able to speak unapologetically about who I am and why I'm here on the face of the earth. So I want to just say to you, I want to provoke you by saying that, the shining comes from adversity. I'll just shining comes from adversity, right? When I wrote my book, Prison Break, in 2016, I started by sharing a piece of Maya Angelou's poem. Maya Angelou's poem that says, "I know why the caged bird sings." The truth of the matter is, as Nike alluded, and Cresta also alluded when she talked about, when you are tilling a farmland, or you haven't tilled or walked on a farmland for some time, you'll see weeds, you'll see that the grass is dry, and then you need to start to cultivate the ground before you can actually do the planting. And Nike spoke about how do you know that it is time to transition? She spoke about just things like the number of years, for instance, that you've been maybe in paid employment, or you've been doing a certain thing for about 15 years and you feel a little bit stale in that space. The truth is that place is a place of containment, it's a place of limitation, it's a place of restriction. You feel like you're missing something. You feel like every other person has got it going good, except for you. So that's a place of the caged bird. But I want to offer you some hope, right? I want to tell you that the caged bird, that place of caging, right? And by the way, when I talk about prison, in my book, The Prison Break, the prison for me simply is anything that holds you bound or limited or constrained so that you're not able to live your fullest life. So you're not able to live optimally and be and do all that God has called you to be and do. So when you find yourself in that cage, remember that the only song, or the sweetest song, that the caged bird can sing is the song of freedom. So you begin to feel like that place where you are is constraining you. You feel uncomfortable. You feel like you have to absolutely move forward. That's when you need insight. That's when you need illumination. And it is on that basis that I like to talk about my, shine philosophy, for instance. But I'll go into that a little bit further down the line. So here's what I want to say. When you come to that place, right, where you know that you have more to give, and today we're talking about refreshing to relaunch. And I know it's a brand new year, the first month of the year. I mean, can you imagine how quickly January has gone by? But the truth of the matter is a lot of us came from 2021 with the same mindset, with the same attitudes, with the same thoughts, with the same job, with the same everything around us, the same. Even for those of us who actually say that we have New Year resolutions, what's good is a New Year resolution if you don't have a new mindset, if you don't have a refreshed mindset, if you don't have an enabled mindset? How are you going to be able to execute it? It will just be a case of doing the same thing over and over again and expecting to see change, right? So when you're feeling trapped, if you feel trapped, right, or restricted, or you feel like you're unable to fully express yourself, you don't know how to get from where you are to where you need to go, you feel like you are not sure what to do to unlock the best side of you, your skills, your talents, your gifts. You don't know what you need to do to unlock your inner brilliance. You're yearning for an opportunity to shine, to be like IB, to be like, Nike, to be like Cresta, to be like Dr. Tonya and Dr. Abiye, who seem to have it all together. Guess what? We don't have it together. We don't have it all together. We are just, as Cresta suggested, doing it afraid. We are doing it anyway. We are taking action in the direction of our dreams. That's the difference. So that's why I feel like it is critical I get this message across that you too can. There's a shine in you, just as there's a shine in me. And there is a call, if you like, there's a commission that we all have to take up our mantle, of our shine mantle, to wrap it around ourselves and to go on our shine journey boldly and courageously. So your shine can come from adversity. For me, the shine philosophy is something that I spent many years cooking in the oven. And it was born out of my own personal life-changing experience, how I overcame depression after the tragic loss of 2 younger sisters in one day. Now, that's something that, threw me into extreme depression. But as I began to heal, I became consumed with a desire to immortalize my sisters. And I didn't know how to do it. I felt like it didn't need to be anything grandiose. It didn't need to be anything, fabulous or whatever. I just wanted to find a way to honor their memory. I sat down and I thought about it and I said, okay, their lives had been cut short and they were no more. They had plans, they had dreams, their dreams could no longer be achieved because they had crossed over. So the only way I knew to immortalize them, to keep their memory alive, to honor their memory, if you like, was to, try and discover my own life's purpose and to try and shine with it and encourage others to shine in their own life as well. So that's how my shine journey began. That's what I refer to simply as my shine journey. It was my journey of self-acceptance, self-actualization, as it were. But to be honest, I didn't really realize it as such when I was, I came out of mourning. My sisters came out of that spiraling web of depression, those dark years. I didn't realize that I was embarking on a shine journey or anything fantastic. I just felt, I was in a really bad and gray place, and thank God for his mercies. He's led me out of that path and everything. But I eventually came to see the connection. I saw how, that particular painful, life-altering, tragedy I saw that it was so interconnected with so many things. It was interconnected with my upbringing. It was interconnected with my leadership qualities, my love for inspiring other people through my writing. I love to write little short limericks, inspirational pieces, but I'm the first partaker. Those pieces inspire me first before they even inspire anybody else. And I desire above all things, this is something that I think is one of my superpowers. I love to celebrate others. I always see the good in others. I'm a diehard optimist. I always see the glass as half full, not half empty. So in 2016, I was able to, when I wrote my book, Prison Break, and launched it, and on the back of that, I thought, so what next? What now? And I decided to craft my thoughts into a kind of strategy, a kind of philosophy, a kind of ideology, which I now call the Shine philosophy. That became my strategic guideline. And I've been using that to empower not just myself, but I've been using it to empower people with the understanding of what it means to operate with a personal brilliance mindset. And I'm glad that Cresta mentioned this. She alluded to this when she said, do not compare, do not compete, run your own race. Dance to the sound of your own drum beats. It is so important we learn that and we own it, because if not, you'll keep comparing, you'll never measure up. But if you realize, when people are running a race, and if someone was running a 100-meter race, and in their last competition, they ran that race in, say, 1 minute, 13 seconds or something, and they compete again, or during their training, they're able to bring that down by 1 second, 1 minute. That's their personal best. And it's something to celebrate, because what matters is that you have improved. So I have to emphasize, we can all shine. I'm basically all about democratizing the concept of shining. And as a shine strategist, my mission is very simple, really, is to very humbly awaken people to their inner greatness so that they can shine the spotlight on their brilliance. And I'll explain. As I said earlier, I believe that we all carry the torch of greatness within us, right? But the sad reality is that, the pressures of life happens, and pressures will come along, and then they will try to douse the fire of our brilliance until we're living a fraction of our lives. We don't know who we really are. We don't know why we're here. We feel like we're just cluttering up the landscape. We don't know how to get from, that constricted place, that prison I spoke about. We don't know how to leave our prison and move up into our palaces. And we are to understand, and that if you get nothing else, get this tonight, that we are here not just to merely go through the motions of living. We are here for a bigger purpose. Right? We are here for a bigger purpose. The thing is, many of us are either we don't realize this fact, or we somehow forget it in the course of living life, doing life, and we proceed to just do business as usual. And it cannot be business as usual, because when you do business as usual, you get to a point in your life, or God forbid, the end of your life, when you're lying there in bed, and you're about to cross over, and it's the end is here, and you're asking, who am I? What have I been doing? What did I do with my life? And that's not a good place to be. So the starting point to coming out of that place is, I would suggest, is to understand your worth as a person. Didn't I just say, if I didn't, I'll repeat it again. We all have greatness inside of us. So understand your worth, understand your value. And I think that just means that you understand who you are and how you can make a difference in this world through your service, through connecting with other people, through putting out there your brilliance, your talents, your gifts that we spoke about. You have to know what you're great at. Cresta hinted at this as well. Know what it is that you're good at, and know what it is that sets your soul on fire. That really matters, because I'm speaking about passion now. So understand what it is that you are called, who it is that you're called to serve. That also matters, because oftentimes when you find your gifts and your talents, the next step must be that you create something of value with them and you serve it to the people who need it. Do you see what I mean? And that's why I say, don't shy away from your stories or your lived experiences. Every single one of I don't believe in any such thing as failures, because they talk about failing forward. When you fail, it's just another opportunity to learn how not to do things, how to do things better, how to do things differently. So understanding your story, owning it, scars and all, the good, the bad, and the ugly, can really connect you to the people that you're called to serve. Because listen, we have all sorts of titles. I met somebody the other day who is a grief expert. There's all sorts of people helping other people to come to terms with their experiences, with their lives, and to just live life optimally. So understand your story, understand what you're good at. That's the starting point, accepting that you matter. You're not here to merely clutter up the landscape. You matter. Your dreams, your aspirations, your desires, they all matter. When you recognize that, your own value, that you yourself, you carry value, but then you also recognize that not only do you carry value, others around you carry value. I always say this thing. I say, listen, every coach has a coach, every mentor has a mentor, every teacher has a teacher. And that is how God intended it, that we should all coexist and interrelate, and there's always something to learn. For me, I'm a lifelong student. I love to learn from people, right? So esteeming yourself while also esteeming others, recognizing your essence, but you also, in doing that, you also recognize the essence that other people carry. Right. So that keeps you humble. That makes you not to be arrogant, and to understand that, we are all a piece of the puzzle that makes life beautiful. It's about perceiving, if you like, I think of it as perceiving your own fragrance, but also being conscious of the fact that as human beings, right, our collective human scent can be far more powerful and far more memorable, more lasting, when we all combine our fragrance, our individual fragrances, with the fragrance that other people carry. That's what I absolutely believe. Don't mind me, I'm a poet and I'm a romantic at heart. So I have a funny way of putting my points, describing what I want to say, but hopefully you're getting something from this session. All right, so the shine philosophy simply is this. It teaches that everyone has a shine ability. And these are the qualities inside a person that they can harness in order to help them shine, right? And to shine simply means, if you ask me, what does it mean to shine? I'll tell you, it means to soar higher into new expressions. Do you recognize the S, the H, the I, the N, and the E there? To soar higher into new expressions. The reason I like that definition is that no matter who you are, right? And no matter how far along your shine journey you are, whether you're just beginning or you're in the middle or whatever, there's always a next level up. And you set the goal for yourself, right? Not in a way that stresses you out and makes you feel like, oh, I have to be, I have to be doing some kind of feverish activity all the time, but in a way that doesn't let you settle into rut, in a way that tells you and the universe that I'm still alive, I'm still with it, I'm still living, therefore I must express. So shining is about striving to improve ourselves in the little ways, right? Constantly seeking new ways to express our brilliance. Expressing our brilliance is simply like shining the spotlight on those unique qualities, those qualities that make us unique as individuals. On the other hand, if you ask me, yes, but what does this really mean? I'll tell you, okay, the shine philosophy can be broken down, and it represents 5 strategic shine steps. The start, the harness, the identify, the network, and the express, right? It is so, so critical. If we follow this step, we cannot go wrong. But let me pose a question before I conclude my presentation. What would it take for you to, do you believe that you are shining optimally? Maybe IB can make that a poll. Do you believe that you're shining optimally? And remember that there's so many, many, many ways, many things to look at. Just as if you were writing a goal for the new year, you wouldn't just be looking at, you'd be looking at relationships, you'd be looking at career goals, business goals, financial goals, spiritual goals, and things. So tell me, do you think you're shining optimally, right? Do you think you're shining optimally? That is so critical, because out of that, I would ask, normally when I coach with people, out of that, I would ask, so what do you think is currently in your life that you need to lose? And what do you think you're missing that you need to imbibe or you need to bring into your life? What is it that you currently do not have that you need to take on, that you need to gain? What is it that you need to change? Because change is the only constant in life. And sometimes changing your mindset is not sometimes, like all of the time, changing your mindset is the best place to begin your journey to transition, your journey to refresh or to relaunch or to do anything whatsoever. So we must learn to unlock. When we answer that question, it will help us to unlock our shine factor. Now, each and every one of us has been bestowed with gifts to shine, to walk in a unique purpose and all of that. And I do nothing but remind people every day, the glass is half full. Life throws you lemons, make lemonade. And I'm not saying that to hide my head in the sand and say, oh, people aren't going through stuff or people are not going through challenges or whatever. No, but I'm just saying that just sitting down there and feeling sorry for yourself, for me, is a disempowering position to be in. So I prefer, to be on top of things. I prefer to take charge of my life, right? So it is a transformational ideology. For me, it has proved so. It is based on that singular belief. We are intentionally designed by God, with purpose, and every one of us carries a light of greatness. And call it a belief system, think of it as a mindset, think of it even as a way of living. It is all of those things rolled into one. So it's a strategy for living a purpose-driven life. That's what it is, because it encourages us to look inward. It encourages us to connect with our inner greatness and to showcase our brilliance. Now, I said before about the place of confinement and how it helps us to actually grow into where we are supposed to go. That is so true. And I cannot emphasize it too much. But breaking down the shine steps before, as I begin to round up now, breaking down the shine steps, right? I want to say that there are some personal traits that we need to have as individuals that will help us to shine brighter. We're already shining, to shine brighter. One of them is the passion for excellence, right? The second one is an ability for an ability to do honest self-reflection, right? I think both Nike and Cresta alluded to this. And it is also the third one is to be on a mission to find your purpose, the reason you are here on this planet. Why are you here? Whose life are you supposed to touch? Who are you? Where are you going? What do you have in your hands? Cresta talked about that again. What do you have in your hands that you can use to make a difference in the world? And also having, another thing is having an awareness of the value of your life experience. IB talked about in her promo video, she talked about that her panel of speakers were going to share not just their expertise, but their experienced expertise. And I thought, what a clever coinage, because that simply tells me that our experiences are not in vain. They are not for nothing. I truly believe that our stories are not for us. Our stories are supposed to connect us. When we speak them with confidence and courage and unapologetically, our stories are supposed to connect us to the people that we're called to serve on this planet, right? It's almost like magic. It will just, magically draw those people into your space. When I wrote my book, that was the case. The moment it went on Amazon, the people that were reaching out to me were the very people that I wanted to connect with, to help them, because I felt like I understood the space where they were, right? So committing to achieving an alignment between your passion or your purpose, your life goals, and the road that you are currently traveling on. Because a lot of us are just focused on the 9 to 5 or my business or my job or whatever it is that we're doing. And yet our spirits and our souls are crying out for more. So we need to commit to continually evolve, to continually have a growth mindset. And I teach something I call the I am perspective. I am, I-A-M. And the I there stands for having that internal dialogue with yourself. I, me, and myself kind of conversation. It's got to be very intimate, but at the same time, very, it has to be honest. You have to ask honest questions of yourself, give yourself honest answers. And from there, you'll be able to distill the way forward. Because even though you can work with coaches, and I totally encourage that. I worked with a coach to write my book. I'm working with a coach even now to manage aspects of my brand and everything. But I think that you are your own rescue. You are your own first coach, so that self-discipline or personal leadership or whatever so matters. So the mental script you have in your head, that is the make or break. That's the first thing that needs to change. That's the first thing that you need to critically analyze. The internal dialogue, the I there in the I am stands for internal dialogue. And what it is that that's when you have that internal dialogue and you're able to be naked before yourself, it will lead you to recognize your achievement potential. You would, be able to recognize that, I'm not a waste of space. Oh my God, I have this skill. I have this talent. Oh my God, I'm brilliant, or I could do something with it. I'm not there yet, but I am enough. I have what it takes and I can do this. That's what you have to have that even before you can reach out to anybody, any external party to say, can I coach with you? Can I mentor with you? So the I, internal dialogue, A, achievement potential. But guess what? It now leads to the M, which is meaningful progress. That leads you to make meaningful progress on your journey. So that shine factor mindset, understanding the importance of your story, your lived experiences will prove priceless. And for me personally, it has proved priceless in helping me to build followers and captivated clients, if you like, clients who they just gel with me. You know what I mean? I don't know what it is. There's something about her. And it also reminds me to mention here, the importance of authenticity and being true to yourself. And that ties back again to what Cresta said about not competing, not comparing. So really, there are 5 steps that I want to quickly live with you. And on that note, I will bring my session to a close. To break, and that's to offer you a breakdown of the shine steps, the 5 steps. As I said, S is for start, right? We must start our journey to purpose, our journey to fulfillment, if you like. Start now. Right? Start now. Start from where you are. Start with what you have right now in your hand, your talents, your gifts, your whatever. Start with what you know right now. Don't wait for the perfect time. Nike talked about this. There is no such thing as a perfect time. It's a myth. There's no time when all the ducks are going to line up in one row. There's no time when all the cows will come home to roost, as they say. It doesn't exist. Perfect time doesn't exist. So start now. And it's the beginning of a brand new year. It's just leverage on that newness, right? And start now. That would be my encouragement to you. H stands for harness, right? We must harness our abilities and our unique qualities. Harness your gifts, harness your talents, your special skills, and build on them. Those things that make you unique, those things that nobody can quite do them the way you do them. That's your USP, your unique selling point, if you like. So harness those things. And again, I'm just brushing through because of how short a time we have. This is an entire course when I work with clients, but you understand what I'm saying. I hope you get something from it. Then the I there stands for identity. We must identify our shine factor, what it is that makes us unique, what it is that gives us that edge, if you like. Because yes, we all have it. You just have to discover it. And, you need to also identify your message, identify your platform, and identify who it is that you're called to serve. Because identifying your shine factor, your gifts, your talents, and your message, you now have a message, you now have a platform. Of course, you're going to be on that platform as the poster child, or as the, people are going to be drawn to you. So you have to know who it is that you're called to serve, because you're certainly not called to serve everyone. So identify who you want to serve, your target audience, your ideal client, your customer, and as they say, your tribe. Find your tribe, identify what sets you apart from others, identify the problems and, relevant problems and how you can create positive solutions that you can monetize, right? So networking basically means that, basically talks about we networking effectively and purposefully, because there's such a thing as purposeful and effective networking. That means that we are building and nurturing and leveraging relationships that can help us achieve our purpose. You know how we talked about that grand plan, that big purpose, whether it's in our businesses or in our personal lives, but we have to build the right kind of, relationships, network with the right kind of people that will help us to nurture, build, and leverage on relationships that can help us, collaborate with other people, people who are already working in their brilliance, who are already traveling in the same direction as you. Connection is key to building that success that you desire. And the final thing, E, is to express. We must express ourselves so that the world sees our actions and our activities to be a true and authentic reflection of our vision, our mission, and our purpose. Who do people say I am? It's easy for us, especially with social media, it's easy for us to posture. It's easy for people to tell lies on social media, to claim to be who they are not. Sometimes people are offering solutions that even they themselves have not practiced or have not experienced, and they cannot lay claim to having achieve those successes. But depending on how good you are, depending on how good your makeup artist is, depending on how good your photographer is, you can actually seem to be somebody that you're not. That's the sad thing about social media. So what I would say is that when people, after connecting with you, after connecting with your project, your passion, connecting with your business or whatever, they are able to leave with a positive impression of you, then you are there. You have expressed yourself in a way that is in alignment with your mission, your vision, and your life purpose. It has to be a reflection. There has to be a connection. So expressing your shine by finally stepping into what I call your shine zone. And your shine zone is that place of congruence, that place where you feel at home, that place where you feel like, you look around you, you survey everything, and you're like, it's not that everything is perfect. Like I said, perfect doesn't exist. But when you're in that shine zone, you feel empowered. You feel like, bring it on. Like, I can conquer, I can take on anything. And when you feel that way, the courage is there, the clarity is there, you are feeling pumped up. No matter what life throws at you, you can overcome. So let the world witness your brilliance. Use your talents, use your business, use your service to radiate a glow by adding value and by providing solutions. When you are doing that, you are in the shine zone of your life. That special, unique place, that sweet spot where you can, if you like, effortlessly bedazzle and inspire the world to greatness just by being yourself, just by being your unique, authentic self. That is the best place. That's the place where we meet the best versions of ourselves. And that's the place that we should all be seeking in this brand new year and beyond. That's where we should all be seeking to travel to. So if you're ready to meet the best version of yourself, if you're ready to develop habits, maybe if you don't already have those habits, if you're ready to develop habits, develop relationships that will help you move into your shine zone, then you're in a good place. And if you're thinking, she's making sense, I need to go back down. I need to go back after this and put pen to paper, as Cresta suggested, because write the vision, make it plain. And if you're thinking this year is going to be amazing because I'm actually going to ask myself those I, me, and myself questions. I am going to relocate. I'm going to find, if you like, a new identity. I'm going to actually use the keys to open the doors to my palace, escape my prison, enter into my palace, and all of that, then my job here is done, really. So again, I would just say to shine is to soar higher into new expressions. You have a shine in you. You can find it. You sit down and you do what I call a shine assessment. When you do that, and by the way, I've got an audio guide for you on my website, clararufai.com, that you can download and follow those steps to help you do that shine assessment. Hopefully, it helps you to gain perspective, gain clarity, gain a little bit of oomph, a little bit more courage to be able to embark on all that God has called you to do in this brand new year. And I hope I've been able to add value. Thank you so much, Ivy, for the opportunity.
And then just very quickly, unfortunately, we're pressed for time, but if Dr. Tony Ogan could come and tell us how to put ourselves in the right frame of mind mentally to be able to find and maintain our shine. So please, Doctor, without much ado, take it away.
Hi, everybody. It's very difficult to actually do a presentation after Clara Rufai has spoken. I've known Clara for too many years and she's always been like this. So I will do the best I can. And thank you, Ibi, for giving me this opportunity. So my goal today would be after this presentation, that you would be able to know what mental health is, what it isn't, how I would recognize my own mental health and what state it is in, and what do I do with that knowledge. I will try and share my screen now. So in order for you to stay in your shine zone, as Clara has said, which is a place where you will be able to inspire others by just being yourself, it's important for you to be in your optimal health. And I just want to just go through a few definitions, as it were. First of all, what is health in the first place? What is mental health? And WHO defines it as a state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her own abilities. We're talking about being unique, and we're talking about self-actualization. So it's a state of well-being in which the individual realizes his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, and can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her own community. Remember, we are an ecosystem. I shine my shine, you shine your shine, and then, we together we can, do whatever it is we plan. So please, I just want you to note that there is no mention about any mental illness here. We're talking about mental health, which is a state of well-being. And a pertinent question arises, is there really a difference between mental and physical health? Are we able to have one without the other? And the simple answer to that is no, there is no health without mental health. Mental well-being encompasses both physical, mental, and social domains, and some other words that can be used instead of well-being includes happiness, fulfillment, and positive emotions. It means also functioning well, both in the mental, in the physical, and the social aspects of your life. What it is not the absence of disease or illness. Mental health is not depression, it's not PTSD, it's not anxiety, it's not schizophrenia, autism, and it's not drug and alcohol misuse. All those things are mental disorders. So we're talking about a state of being well, not about the mental disorders or illnesses. So you see, there are two ends of the pole, and we're trying to stay in mental wellness, okay? So in that case, where is my mental health? You see, I would like everybody listening to me to realize that as long as there's breath in you and you're alive on this earth, from the day you are born till the day you take your last breath, you have a mental health to protect. So it is knowing exactly, where is my mental health? If I have a headache, I can go to the doctor and say, look, my head is aching me, it's been hurting for so many days. I've done this, done that. It's not working. We need to do something else. So a simple answer to that is that your mental health is a function of three things. If you remember BET, Black Entertainment Television, it is a function of your behavior, your emotions, and your thoughts and perceptions. Okay, I think I should add a P, but maybe I'll change that slide to bet P. Your behavior, how are you behaving? If you want to sit down, if you want to check your mental health, you sit down with yourself. You have to take some time out in the day, or at least, periodically, to check, How am I behaving? Why did I do that? Why did I act like that? How are my emotions? You are just getting angrier. You're so irritable. What's going on with you? What's the stress? You know, and your thoughts. If you keep thinking, these people don't like me. Why? What is going on with you? That's the way to do it. That's where you find your mental health, and you really need to be able to take some time. It's called mindfulness. Is being in the here and now, taking time out for yourself to check on yourself, because nobody else will do it for you. Check your behavior, check your emotions, and your thoughts and perception. Perception simply means your view on life, how you see things. Okay. I have here this slide, which just shows you the relationship between your thoughts, your behavior, and your feelings. We'll start from thoughts. Your thoughts will create feelings. If you're always thinking negative stuff, particularly about the past, that's where depression starts. If you're constantly thinking negative, your feelings will change and you start feeling low. Your feelings will create your behavior. When you start feeling low, you just don't feel like doing anything. The behavior that follows that one, you're lying in bed, you don't come out of bed until 12 noon, you just don't feel like doing anything, your sleep is poor, and those kind of behaviors will reinforce your thoughts, which will become more negative, and then you have a negative cycle which you have to break. To get your mental health back to its optimum. I've put here a list of a table full of negative emotions and positive emotions, because if you ask people, how are you feeling? Many times they will tell you, I'm happy, I'm sad, and it stops there. But no, let's go to the positive ones. There's joy, being interested in things, being enthusiastic, laughter, empathy, action, doing stuff, curiosity, anticipation, pride in yourself, what you're doing, desire, euphoria, hope. All those things are emotions. I will leave the negative emotions for today. So, mental illness, what is it? By the definition I gave, it's easy to see that mental illness is any condition that stops you from doing the following things: from realizing your own abilities or self-actualization, anything that stops you from coping with normal stresses in life, anything that stops or limits your productivity. We've talked about this today. And anything that stops or limits you contributing to your community. Nobody has mentioned what we term madness. If you think about this definition of what mental health is or illness is, you can see that, it's very easy to slip from a state of mental well-being into illness or disorder, as it were. It's very easy to slip, and it's really important that we take that time out to be aware of our own mental state at any time, and to know when things are slipping and what you need to do to get yourself back. There are things that you can do on your own, to improve your mental health and your mental well-being. And we will get to those things in a minute. And we'll also get to know when to seek help. Okay? The broad group of mental illnesses will be the anxieties, the mood disorders, which includes depression, bipolar, affective disorder, and then the schizophrenias and other psychoses, and the personality disorders. This is just very brief. And like I said, I'm not going into mental illness today. I just thought I should mention them. So what are the things I need to look for to know when my mental health is slipping? And these are the things: when people begin to withdraw from people or activities that they would normally enjoy. Somebody who normally likes to play football, every Sunday morning they're on the field, all of a sudden they're telling you that, I just don't feel like it. There's just no point. I'm not, and 1 month has gone, they've not gone to play football any one day. You need to be concerned about that. Sleeping or eating either too much or too little is a problem. If you're people who are manic do not feel a need to sleep. They just don't feel that they need to sleep. They're awake for days. Anxiety can keep you up because you're constantly thinking about negatively about what is to come and has not happened. That will lead to anxiety, and it disturbs your sleep. Feeling as if nothing matters, they've lost every care in the world, consistently low in energy or high energy in mania as well. You can't sit down to do anything. You're up and down, constantly. Using drugs more than normal, and then drugs, the most commonly acceptable drug is alcohol. And it includes alcohol and smoking, nicotine. Displaying uncharacteristic emotions, like I said, when you call yourself to that table and check on your emotions. Am I being too irritable? Am I getting angry and snapping at everybody at the least possible thing? Or am I crying all the time? Even am I laughing, all the time? Am I too happy? You need to, check those things and rein them in. Am I confused? Do I feel like I have a foggy brain? Not being able to complete standard tasks. If you ask someone, okay, go and wash the dishes, they just get in a fluster. They can't do something as simple as that. There's a problem. Persistent thoughts or memories that appear regularly. If there's something that's constantly on your mind that you cannot get rid of, you need to check yourself. If you are thinking of harming yourself or somebody else, that actually is an emergency. If you begin to hear voices when other people cannot hear, or see things that others cannot see, those are very serious psychiatric symptoms, and they need these ones. The last three, you don't sit at home and wonder about it. You seek help for those three. I will move on to my next slide. What do I do to promote my mental well-being? The first thing we do is get yourself involved in acts of kindness, acts of charity. Things like volunteering in a soup kitchen, looking after the homeless, do something to help somebody else. Like Clara did say, when we shine, it's to pull other people out of where they find, or possibly where you have been yourself. So that's the first kind of thing that one needs to do to improve your mental health, because in the first place, you forget about what you think are your worries and your issues, and you are looking after somebody else. You also gain a fulfillment. Remember, we said one of the things about one of the synonym names for mental well-being was fulfillment. The fulfillment you get for changing somebody's life or impacting somebody's life positively will help your own mental health. Sleep. In as much as we work hard, we also need to rest to recharge. What we as medics advocate is 8 hours of sleep a day. You eat well, you exercise regularly, be a person of faith. Research has shown that if you're a person of faith, your mental health, even if you have a challenge, you do better than others who do not have a faith. Remember, one of the positive emotions we talked about was hope. We get hope in our faith. If I remember, one of the words that the scripture says is, Christ in me, the hope of glory. There is hope already, free of charge there, in that belief. You need to be able to connect with people, that is, maintain healthy, and I stress the word healthy, relationships. Please avoid toxic relationships. They suck the life out of your mental health. And connect with people who can ginger you to do what you need to do for you, and get you out of if you're in any maybe slum in your mental health, and they can encourage you to get up out of that place where you are and move on. Learn to relax. African women don't know that's a 4-letter word to us. We're always rushing from one thing, looking after the children, to the next thing, to the next thing. We forget to take that time out for ourselves and just, even if it's doing nothing. If you want to go and swim, go and put yourself in the Atlantic Ocean today. Tomorrow, go to the Indian Ocean, go to Acapulco, relax, learn to relax. It helps to build up the good hormones in your brain that will help, give you or promote a good mood and your mental state. Work hard. But remember that balance is key. And as in anything in medicine, early recognition of the illness or the symptoms and presentation to a doctor is key in anything in medicine. So if you recognize that your mental health is slipping and is going downwards, then you try the things that we've said to you to try, like exercise, like relaxation, and those kind of things. If you find that it's not helping you, or that you are beginning to have any of those last three symptoms I spoke about, thinking about suicide or harming other people, having a form of psychosis, as in seeing and hearing things that are not there, and having a delusion. Delusion simply means a thought or a belief that somebody holds on to, which is out of keeping with their physical, social, psychological, the evidence. For instance, as Black as I am in England, and I believe that the Queen is my mother. There's no way. That's completely out of it. That is a delusion, and it's a serious sign of a mental illness. So if you have, or you notice you're experiencing any of those three, please present urgently to a suitably qualified medical person for them to help you out. And this is going to be my final slide, and talks about 5 ways to, improve to better mental well-being. Keep learning. Like I think it was Clara who said it, or learning is lifelong. It's until you enter the grave. You learn every day. You can learn from anybody. You can learn from a child. I have learned so much today myself, and I've picked up things that I am going to use for myself in progressing my career from this talk. Connect. Stay connected to people, like-minded people who can, boost you up and ginger you to move from where you are to where you want to go. Take notice. I talked about mindfulness, taking time to notice things around you, to notice yourself, to listen for the birds, to watch the leaves and the flower. Take some time to notice things. Be a giver, not just of money, of your time, your talents, and what you can give really to others. And be active. You cannot overemphasize the benefits of exercise, even if it is 30 minutes walk a day, to keep your mind active and to keep your body fit as well. So I'm going to stop here, and hopefully if there are any questions, we'll take it up in the question and answer session. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dr. Tonya. Thank you so much. That was really insightful. I actually didn't realize that there was a difference between mental well-being and mental illness. So I think I've learned something new today, and it's really good to understand the difference between the two. But most importantly, I think, again, that is really a reiteration of the things that we ought to know, we should know, and going forward, we keep momentum on. So we already know about sleep, we already know about acts of charity, but I guess coming from a professional like you, reiterating those key points is really, really powerful. And I completely agree on the point about keep learning, because when you stay learning, you stay growing. And I think when you stay growing, it definitely has a positive impact on our mental health.
Someone has asked me a question here. Can I answer now or wait?
I would suggest, because of time, that you tackle that question in your breakout session. That would be very helpful, because we do have one last speaker, and so we need to move on very quickly. So quickly, Dr. Abie, we do not have much time, but Obviously, we want you to talk about how to, going from what Dr. Tony has told us, how do we now transition into making that positive shift towards improving our health and our well-being, please? If we could just touch on that before we quickly round up and go into our breakout rooms, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you very much, my sister, for inviting me, and I've been taking notes very furiously. I started wondering, am I a speaker in this gathering, or I'm a participant? So I've taken some very copious notes, right? Okay. So my name is Abie Hector Goma. I'm a general practitioner at Allerton and Westfield Medical Centers in Leeds. I'm clinical director of Chapeltown Primary Care Network. Right, so a left shift towards excellent health and well-being. So it's been good listening to Nika, Cresta, Clara, and Tony, and it's good to see very good friends in the audience. Right, let's press on. So my outline is look at the concept of well-being. A lot of that has been said, so I'm going to blast through 17 slides. I'm sure I'll finish before 15 minutes anyway. Look at the spectrum of health. What are the common things which you already know about? The common things are still the most common. And then a brief talk about the left shift, and then is it do as I say or do as I do? We'll talk about that. And then kind of what do I want us to go home with after all been said and done? Right, so I look at well-being from a few concepts that well-being involves spiritual well-being. We live in a politically correct society, so particularly in the health service and elsewhere, spiritual issues are never discussed anymore. So sadly, that's one aspect of well-being, which is dying. Unfortunately, in places like Nigeria, it's in overdrive, so that's a different problem altogether. Tony has very kindly talked about mental and well-being, so I won't even say anything about that. Social well-being, physical well-being, financial well-being, cultural well-being. They're like the redwood trees of California. They're all interconnected, and together they make us healthy or well. So when I say, how are you? And you say, fine, you're saying spiritually I'm well, mentally I'm well, socially I'm well, physically I'm well, financially I'm okay, and culturally I'm sound. I was just thinking that if 100% is the perfect one, then every aspect of these 6 domains should have about 15%. You know, there's no point being spiritually well. Monday to Sunday, you're in the church, meanwhile you're working for government, but you spend all week in church. You are 90% spiritual, but the rest of your body, it's not doing well. So spiritual well-being, I would say give everything 15%. That comes to 90% for the 6 domains. Then you have 10% to play with. So if you're an exercise freak, you can put that 10% into physical well-being, but you cannot over-exercise and then you don't talk to anybody, you're living from overdraft to credit cards. That means that you're financially not sound. So the ideal situation of well-being is where every aspect of those 6 domains, you're doing okay. Maybe 6.5, 7, 8, 10 is excellent and all that. So let's look at well-being from that holistic point of view. You are doing okay in all those domains. You may be doing expert in some domains, but you should do okay in all 6 domains. Already, Tony, I talked about the spectrum of health is that, you know, although the World Health Organization talked about health as a state, it's not really a state, it's a dynamic thing. Yeah. We are all along the continuum, somewhere between healthy, coping, having some difficulties, being ill and going to hospital. You are going, you know, like the spectrum, you have the Roy Biv color of the rainbow spectrum. We are somewhere, nobody is perfect. I don't think anybody can really achieve 100% health, but we are all in that spectrum. And the whole idea of this talk is that we should have a left shift going from wherever we are towards the left of wellness. The same thing goes with the mental well-being. Somebody can be requiring crisis intervention all the way to being mentally well. So from a physical point of view, the ideal body mass, they say, is between 18 and 25. Some of us will never, ever achieve that. But if my body mass is 31 today, can it be 30 in a month's time, or even 30.5 at the end of the year? Is going somewhere to the left, and that's what we are talking about. So I want to use my experience about some of these things. They say the common things are the most common. The good book says, my people perish for lack of knowledge or wisdom. And then somebody said, knowledge is knowing the right thing to do, wisdom is doing it. For the last 10, 15 years of my life, I had slept for like 3-4 hours most days. I'm awake till maybe 2, 3, 4 a.m. most days because I'm trying to solve the problems of the world. And then in the last couple of weeks, one day I woke up and I said, one day you'll wake up and find out you're dead, because I sit on my laptop all day at work, all day, all night in my study. And I just said, your life is going away. In the last few weeks, I got myself one of those soft apps, and I can see that I'm sleeping better, 4 hours some days, occasionally 8 hours. So it's fantastic. I'm objectively seeing how well I'm sleeping. It's taking me 15 years. I had a eureka moment. I think somebody said, was it Cressa that said, when you wake up, it's your morning. So one day I woke up and I said, it's time to try and improve my sleep, because with poor sleep, I'm having ankle swelling, my blood pressure is going up, I'm irritable with my family, with my patients. And then one day I said, okay, let me do something about sleep. So watch this space, I'm sleeping better after 15 years. The next one is physical activity. I mean, I did a master's in health promotion 20 years ago. I tell people about being more active for all my life. I've been a doctor for 32 years. I tell people be more active is the best buy in public health. Physical activity has unimaginable benefits, more than anything you can think about. But what do I do? Sit down on a chair for 20 hours every day. Now, in the last couple of weeks again, I walk every day. I gave myself 10K steps and I went up to 12K steps. Sometime last year, I did couch to 5K. After a while, I fell back to being sedentary. And after a few months, I did couch to 5K again. Today, I got myself that device and I went from 10K steps every day to 12K to 15K. In the last 4 days, I did 20K and I almost have blisters on my feet. But that's also talk about it, that I got to my eureka moment and I realized that when you do something for 28 days, they say it becomes a way of life. And just going out every evening, I'm not going to spending a dime on any gym, just going out and walking is making a massive difference. I'm having time to reflect on life and making calls while walking and all that. So that's what I've been doing recently. And then healthy eating, of course, we all know that the closest way to a man's heart is his stomach. And if you're blessed with an African family and you have people that cook you down, they feed you meat, they feed you pounded yam, and you have to eat to survive. That's where love comes. So many of us African men are dying sudden deaths because we are being well fed at home. So then this American Nutritional Association came up with this plate model, which I quite like. It's quite a straightforward thing, that half of the plate should be non-starchy vegetables, half of your plate. Imagine whatever you eat, half of that plate is vegetable. Vegetables are largely water. It means that you are going to reduce the calories you eat because half of the plate is full of vegetables, which is largely water. And then 1/4 of the plate is carbohydrate. So there is no way you can put that pounded yam or eba high if it's 1/4 of the plate, and then 1/4 of the plate is protein. Now, if all of us, as those who cook, I don't want to be sexist and say, if our wives, if the men who are cooking here, all the men in this listening to me, if you're the one doing the cooking in the house, think about this concept of the plate. Half of your meal should be vegetable-based, 1/4 carbohydrate-based, and 1/4 protein-based. And that way, your calories will reduce and you will lose weight. We'll talk about that in a moment. The next one is being money-wise. I don't know if any of you have had financial problems before. If you have not had financial problems, I'm happy for you. I thank God for you. I have seen it. I've seen every aspect of financial problems you can think about. I've seen it in this country. It's not a pleasant way to be. You can have the best relationship. If you have cash flow problem, you can become depressed. Many people that have mental illness today have financial problems. Many people that have hypertension today, school fees in Nigeria, putting children in very expensive private schools, and you can't even get the money to pay the fees. It's all overwhelming. Somebody once said, earn £20, spend £19.99, you're happy. Earn £20, spend £21, you're in trouble. And so those who are money-wise and learn to save and do all those kind of things, have projections, not buy iPhone 14, iPhone 15, because the latest craze in town, you buy what you need and not buy what you want. Being money-wise has a massive effect on our lifestyle. The nets that we have, do they work? Already, Tony had talked about that and all the others. I won't go into much again. It's important to have nets that work. And then, how is your work-family life balance? I have never had work-life balance. When I was a young doctor in Lagos, I was working morning, afternoon, night, flying Molways in Lagos. Since I came to the UK, locum, I don't know, we carry the problems of the world on our heads. The white people, it's just me, myself, and I. We, your uncles, aunties, everybody's problem is on your head. So you just walk around the clock. My girls have grown up. I just realized they've all grown big all of a sudden because I'm busy working. So having work-life balance is important. Now, if all those things, you have the wisdom and you do the right thing, because knowledge is knowing the right thing to do, wisdom is doing it, then you can manage stress better. Your mental well-being, your physical well-being, all those aspects of life, you can really realize that the better you are at managing stresses, then the healthier you are. Now, the root cause of most of the cardiovascular problems, most people, a lot of the sudden deaths we see has to do with heart attack. It has to do with plaque formation. This is a normal clean artery. As people grow older, from our 20s, we begin to have plaques building up in the walls of the blood vessels. And then as people grow older and older, the blood vessels get blocked. And so blood can't flow through the vessels. And that's what causes most of the problem. Now, the more active we are, the healthier we eat, it helps to clean up our blood vessels. So most problems that we have, ultimately, poor sleep leads to things. When we don't sleep well, we are stressed, we eat junk food. When we eat junk food, we build up plaques. When we don't exercise, HDL, which is good cholesterol, is reduced. LDL, which is not so good cholesterol, is increased. It leads to more blockage of the vessels. So eating the right food, sleeping well, being more active, all together reduces the buildup of plaques in the blood vessels, which means a less likelihood of a heart attack, less likelihood of a high blood pressure. So this is the final common pathway, is the blockage of the tiny blood vessels that supply blood to the extremities of the body. So those lifestyle things that we talk about, if we do them right, we have a left shift from clogged arteries to clean arteries. If we don't do them right, we have a right shift, and then we have problems. So the left shift then, the particle left shift is one, blood pressure. I mean, my eureka moment came. I've always been lucky. Many of my friends have been hypertensive 5-10 years ago. My blood pressure has always been good. And then suddenly a few months ago, usually my blood pressure can go up when I'm on call, but once I finish call, I get home, it's fine. And in the last few months, when I wake up in the morning, my blood pressure has been rising steadily. And that was when I realized that it was my morning time. I had to do something about it. Now, I think 3 years ago, there was this organization that came with a weight loss thing. And I wanted to introduce it to my patients. I said, but before I bring it to my patients, let me try it and see whether it will work. And I actually did it for 3 months, and I lost about 4 or 5 kilograms. What I then realized was that my blood pressure, I was pre-diabetic, my blood pressure and sugar levels just crashed. People say a lot of things, but I just know from my experience, and even on a lot of my patients, when you lose weight, it has massive benefits, both physical, mental. Right, I have 2 minutes to go, so let me just press on. So blood pressure reduction, weight reduction, cholesterol reduction, reduction in food portion, tummy size reduction, that weight around the belly button, blood sugar reduction, heart rate reduction, spending less time seated on our bums. All these things are the left shift, which I'm hoping that we'll be encouraged to do. So knowledge, we all have the knowledge. Doctors know that smoking causes cancer. Everybody knows that smoking causes cancer. People still smoke. So knowledge itself alone does not change behavior. It's like buying a car is a knowledge. If you now have an instructor teaches you to drive the car, you've got the skills. But now you've learned to drive, you've got a driving license, take that car and go to the motorway and go and drive on the motorway. That is the confidence. And that's what the left shift is all about. Have the knowledge, learn the skills, and then have the confidence to do the right things. I want to end with this quote. I think this quote, I have to add it to my slides a few minutes while Clara was speaking. I talk about the shine factor, and I just like this. The first time I heard this quote was during when I watched Coach Carter, that film, Coach Carter, and he said, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightening about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Thank you for listening. And those are the to-do lists. And I hope that we have excellent rest of the evening. IB, thank you so much for asking me to come along.
Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. That was a really powerful presentation there. I thoroughly learned so much from that. I think one of the scariest things I saw there was the picture of the arteries with the plug. Please, before we go into any breakout session, I need to ask you very quickly, apart from eating right, how else can we ensure that we are constantly cleansing that pathway of our bodies so that we have a functional blood flow? I just wanted to ask that question before we go anywhere.
I think the answer comes from Tonye's presentation. That was a learning point for me, BET.
Right.
Let me just read what I wrote. Our thoughts create feelings.
Yes.
And our feelings affect our behavior. And it's our behavior in terms of what you eat, whether you sleep well, whether you exercise, is determined by our feelings. So it is this BET that determines our lifestyle, because ultimately, even if you have medication to take, if you don't take it, it has to do with your behavior. So BET, I think, is the answer to cleaning up the arteries in our bodies.
Absolutely. That is amazing. It's so interesting how they're all interlinked. It's so interesting how they're all interlinked and how they all, you can't do one without doing the other. So really, really impactful presentation there. Thank you very much. So Ivy, I'm wondering, how do we want to play it from here? Are we still intending to go into the breakout rooms, or because I realize that we're quite close to time? Just bear with me. Okay.
Yeah, my camera is acting up. Yeah.
Right.
So bear with me. I think we should just ask questions at this stage because we don't have enough time. So if you have questions that you want to ask any of the panelists, please do so. Well, I have a question, and somebody asked that question as well. What's the difference between creativity and insanity? That question is for Dr. Tonye.
In terms of mental health, generally, like Dr. Abie said, it's a flux. Okay? Whatever it is you're doing is not a problem until it begins to affect either your safety, your interaction with others, and your ability to go about your normal daily, whatever it is you do in a day. It's okay to be creative, but when you cross that line, for instance, people who are manic, they're the ones that do this. They have very bright ideas, and they're very creative. They're usually in the arts and those kind of things, or into science, mathematics, and very, very intelligent, very creative. The exact opposite of depression, where you don't even have two ideas to rub together and you are not doing much. You just can't do the mania is the exact opposite. So the thing that makes, and I also have to say that insanity is an outdated word. It is actually derogatory. So we say people have a mental health challenge. So what will make a difference when you need to act is if somebody's life is in danger. by your actions, by your creativity, or if it begins to affect your normal day-to-day. For instance, dancing is good and being a good dancer is good. But when you're dancing in the middle of the street with traffic trying to avoid you, there is a problem. That's no longer creativity. Is that okay? I don't want to give too many examples.
I think that's cool. It's quite understandable. Now, one more question, and I wouldn't bother again. Dr. Goma, I just recently realized that whenever I had salads, fresh vegetables, I began to bloat. And nuts make me bloat. As a matter of fact, last year I had to do an endoscopy and I didn't know why I was bloating. It was because I was having nuts and fresh vegetables. So what do I do?
I mean, it depends. Of course, I'll always say, read about it, see your GP and take things forward. But from a general, I shouldn't give specific advice, but it depends. For example, if somebody has irritable bowel syndrome, which is a very common problem, I think 1 in 4 people have irritable bowel. Just food that you eat could cause a local reaction, which could make you feel bloated, have abdominal cramps or pain, constipation or diarrhea, which is a very common thing. For some people, there are particular foods. So to do a food diary, if you keep a food diary for a week or 2, if every time you eat a particular food, you have those symptoms, then it might be that you have irritable bowel. And you can now decide, maybe I like my pizza, I'll just eat it and be bloated, that's fine. Or I'll just have to stop eating that food. And then for some people, it is something that your body is adversely reacting to. So for some people, like if you take insoluble fibers, we talk about fibers, we have soluble and insoluble fibers. And for some people, again, who have irritable bowel, insoluble fibers can make them have some of those symptoms. So I would say, first of all, keep a food diary and just see if specific foods always give you that. And then you can now decide whether to keep eating them and just bear the symptoms for a day or go off them completely, if there's a definite pattern.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much, Doctor, for that. There's so many questions here. So what I'm going to do is, please, if you have any questions, kindly just raise up your hand. Use the reaction thing to raise up your hand so that we could call you to ask the questions. But in the meantime, I just want to thank everyone who is watching today. So my name is Ibinabo Enebi, and I have a YouTube channel. It's Ibinabo Enebi, and if you want to watch this, I think it's live on YouTube. You can go watch it. And please, while you're there, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like and share. Ivy? Yeah? Sonia Enebi has a question.
Hey,
I want to unmute everyone, yeah?
Okay.
Let me unmute them, yes.
Right, thank you very much. Very, very insightful and a lot to take out of the session. My question is for Nika, really. She spoke about transition, and all the subsequent speakers spoke about it's never too late to start all over again and all of those things. However, the question is, when you are transiting and you want to change, either do a career change and all of that, I hear people say sometimes you have the money and you just want to invest, or you want to start a business that you think you haven't done it before, you are passionate about and you can do it. Should you just go ahead and plunge into that business, or should you take the time to go to school, be an apprentice under somebody for some years? What exactly will be the procedure you would recommend if somebody is transiting?
Thank you. So Pastor Sonny, if you don't mind, I'll just go ahead and take that. I wasn't sure if we were going to wait to take all the questions, but let me quickly address that now. In giving you an answer to your question now, I just want to look back at perhaps what I did when I was making those transitions. So when I was leaving, because you're talking about setting up a business, for example, if you have an idea and setting up a business, and should you just go ahead? I would say that then I'm a strong advocate of spending time on what I would call things like strategic thinking, doing a lot of research. So in my case, what I did was when I wanted to make that transition, almost 2 to 3 years before I took the ultimate decision to leave my senior position in a corporate world and start a business that I owned, I spent 2 years before I took that formal resignation decision doing a business plan. I had the ideas. I went out, I spoke to people. I did a little bit of research. I started talking to some of my existing clients, trying to understand their needs, trying to talk to potential clients, doing a market analysis. I even had a business plan before I put in my notice. So I would say that before we take these major decisions to transition, it is important that we've done the work, because transitions, as exciting as they can be, they have an element of risk involved in them. So with some of the preparation that we do, it helps to minimize or manage those risks. So you don't end up taking those decisions and they were based not on a solid foundation, or maybe based on an inkling or a feeling. So I would say that when you've done the work and you feel you have a good market, a good solution, and you are ready and you have the money, you have the resources, you even have potential clients, then you take the bold move to take that transition. I hope that helps. And it's the same thing with careers as well. If you're shifting industries or you're shifting into, be ready. Make sure you've done the work, the research, the connections before you take those decisions, especially when a lot of
Nick, let me just add a bit of this to it so that you can take it. So yes. I appreciate what you're talking about, and you're talking about planned transition.
Yes.
Speak a bit to the unplanned transition. Suddenly you are laid off. You still have bills to pay. You have children to send to school. You need to make money. You need to make another job is not coming. You want to invest in business. So this is totally unplanned. How do you approach it? Sorry.
Yes. Wow. Okay. The last 2 years has shown us that we have many unplanned things that has happened. And those ones are very, very difficult, and they are forced upon us. So we have to be very agile and reset the way we're thinking about how that transition should look like. Ideally, what would I have wanted to do? Well, maybe you don't have that ideal situation now. You don't have time for preparation. So I think it was said earlier, I'm not sure who said it, I think it's that Cresta, look at what it is that you have already. How can you begin to market that? Market it in small steps. So all of a sudden you may have been an employee and all of a sudden you were laid off, and now you need to look at how to market the skills that you had as an employee for a third party to pay for that. So how do you also have other sources of income? My background is an accountant, and my family say, BK, you are accountant. My own is you have to spread the risk so that you have other sources of income, not just one salary. One is looking at, is it rental? Is it investments that we put in? So that when you have these sudden things that happen to us, you can then tap into those other sources of income. They may never be enough, but it is something. So I think diversifying our income base is one solution all the time. And two, just take what skills you have now and see how you can market it and make money from it, even though in the beginning it may not be a lot of money, but one step at a time.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Nike. And we have Olufunke with her question. Funke?
Yeah, thank you, IB. Good evening, everyone. And I must say it has been a great time spent here and well spent, I must say. I'm really happy I joined. Quickly, this question is for Dr. Abiye. And you talked a lot about diet and actually showed us a plate on what we should be looking at when we want to eat. And I'm not trying to cast aspersions on any diet or any plan, but I must say that I've tried a few myself, without going into details. But as a doctor, what would you really advise in terms of you know, with everything that is out there being thrown at you, try this, you lose weight in 3 months and 1 year and all of that. What really would you advise? Is there anything that is a perfect fit for everybody, or just little things that one can do to improve on their diet? And I saw the question, the answer you gave when somebody was talking about, you know, when you grow older, and you need to eat less. What really would you be saying to someone like me in that category as well, who is over 50 at this point in time? Thank you.
All right, thanks. I think the first thing I'll say is for those who are biblical, is I think somebody was told in the Bible, eat, take and eat, and he said, I can't eat this. So no food is bad. Every food is good. That's the first one. But there are so-called red foods, there are yellow foods, and there are green foods. And the key thing is that green foods have the least calories. And unless you're a marathon runner, if you are overweight by any standards, any food that makes you add more weight should be minimal. Any food that would make you add least weight should be maximal. So from that point of view, plant-based foods make you add less weight compared to other kinds of food. So I think it's a good thing to eat more of plant-based foods and less of animal-based foods. So depending on what your culture is, so if it is Nigeria, if it is ogo, bitter leaf, okra, whatever foods that you have that is rich in vegetable, I think that is fine. From my experience, calorie-dense foods like gari, pounded yam, rice, all those ones, they are good to eat, but because they are calorie-dense, 1 gram of vegetable weighs exactly the same as 1 gram of gari, but the calories, of course, is not comparable. So I would say any food at all is good to eat, but focus more, have large volumes of green foods and smaller volumes of white foods and average volumes of yellow foods. And look at it this way. Look at how much energy you spend in a day. If you spend, for example, 2,000 calories in your activities and your food is about 2,000 calories, it means that your weight is going to be about the same. And I talk about my personal experience. I was pre-diabetic, my blood pressure was on the higher side. When I lost about 6 kilograms, I wasn't trying to do those things. I was doing it for my patients, but I realized that my blood sugar became normal, my blood pressure became normal. So losing weight is good for health as long as you're doing it sensibly. So plenty of greens is fine. Cut down on carbohydrates and take enough of meat, as it were. So I'm not going to ask you to do any diet at all, but reducing the calories in the food you eat, and then no crash diet. See it as a lifelong journey, you know. And that's why I'm thinking that if you're able to lose 500 grams a month for the next 10 months, I think that's 5 kilograms. That's fantastic. But high carbohydrates is bad for your health, whichever way you look at it. High greens is what I'll recommend, and then can have a little bit of everything else.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Dr. Abiyo. Thank you very much.
Thank
that was
you.
really helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, quickly now, I have a question for Cresta, and it says, are there positive sides to competing and comparing oneself to others? Questions are coming in now.
Yes, I saw the question. I think I responded in the chat box because I saw that time was really running out. I wasn't sure if it's coming. So basically, I was saying that it's quite tricky, and it requires a place where you need to strike a very delicate balance. And if you handle it properly, positive comparison can help, can help motivate you. It can help you strive, just to be better for yourself. And it helps you increase your passion level, increases your efforts, the amount of effort you put in, and somehow it keeps you on the go, on the alert. You're always up and about, But the where you must get it right is that you should not compare or compete for the purpose of being like somebody else or seeing what somebody else is doing and envying and wanting to do exactly that, because in the process you lose your own trajectory and you start going in another direction. But if you are just comparing for the purpose of learning to do right or to do as well as somebody else, for the purpose of improving yourself, then I think it's good.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Wow. I don't know. Listen, there's more questions. Clara, Nike, Krista, Dr. Goma, and Dr. Toye. If anyone wants to contact you, how would they reach you? Can you hear me?
I can put my email in the answers.
Okay.
Sorry, in the chat.
Okay, so Clara is clararufai.com. Yeah.
Mine could be tonye.organ.
Tonye.organ. That's your website, is it?
At rocketmail.com.
Tonye.organ at rocketmail.com. Okay. Yeah. Okay. No, I mean, this session has been amazing, and we've had quite a steady amount of people watching and listening, and I have learned a lot. What else do I have to say? So guys, thank you very much. So EB Speaks starts again. My normal session starts again from next week, Saturday. Now I have my YouTube channel. It's Ibinabo Enebi. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please subscribe. And next Saturday, I have a special guest. We're starting the Valentine's Love and Relationship series. You don't want to miss it now, because I have very insightful conversations, and you don't want to miss it. And so any last words?
Mindfulness, sorry.
Yeah.
Mindfulness, don't forget to take time out, sit with yourself, find out how you're doing. And don't forget, it's BET, your behavior, your emotions, and your thoughts and perceptions.
Yeah, fantastic. So I have big thanks and happy weekends to you all. Have a blessed evening. Thanks. Nike's contact is nike.d'souza04@gmail.com. Ibinabo, this has been a very successful first session. Long may it continue. I mean, it's so much, but listen, I want to keep to time, and I wanted to be here next week for another exciting episode of EB Speaks. Thank you, Clara. Thank you, Nike. Thank you, Dr. Organ. Thank you, Krista. Thank you, Dr. Abiye Goma. And thank you, IB, for being a fantastic coordinator. And Vanessa says, it's amazing and powerful. IRB says truly amazing. But guys, listen, we have to go because I don't want to steal your time. I'm 14 minutes over time. And thank you very much. And let's continue the conversation on my Facebook channel. Yeah, so sorry, on my YouTube. So I have to go. So